should be going live. It'll stream in Project Shoresh, Rabbi.
So Project Shoresh on
Facebook
the
page. Should go to the Project Shoresh Facebook page if anyone wants to watch it on Facebook as opposed to watching on Zoom.
On my way. Oh, this is the then.
We're on.
Oh yeah, you're live. Let's see now. How can I share this? Yes.
Good evening. Oh, we got a full carp crew over here. Chananel, Rabbi Weiner, you better be careful. Your big brother's watching.
Oh, no way. No way. Where is he? He one of those.
He's known as Mora right now.
Mora?
That's what it says, Mora.
I don't see it. I just let him do the talking.
All right.
There he is. Hey, he was underneath the thing. Hey, all right.
That's right.
You're good looking.
Long distance.
That's awesome. All right, we are. This thing
going to start in 2 minutes. I'm going to introduce Rabbi Weiner in 2 minutes. Give people some.
I think people can unmute themselves if you do want to. If you see someone you want to say hello to, feel free.
Yeah, it's a good time to schmooze. Okay, cool. It's shared on my Facebook. I wish I knew how to share it on my Instagram. You don't have an Instagram account to share it on live, do you?
Who, me? No.
You got to do that? Oh, the Rebetkin. All right. I really got to behave now.
That's right. I'm going to send some reports. Okay.
All right, I get rid of this thing. Unless I need it.
Good evening. How's Baltimore? How's the weather in Baltimore?
Raining, apparently. According to your mother, she gave the universal symbol for rain.
Rain,
That's what I
go
saw.
away.
That's what I saw.
Sorry. All right. Now we'll warn everybody that Rabbi Weiner at some point he will want a little bit of interaction. So if people have a comment or a something, he'll be. Usually we did this in person last time. He had everybody take their cell phones out. This way, and you write your answer in there, so he actually could hold you accountable.
That's right.
What you have to say. So, but as of right now, you can say whatever you'd like. Especially if you're on mute, you can really say whatever you want.
Just be careful who's sitting next to you, that's all.
That's right. So really, all these New Englanders, the guys, I don't know if you saw or not, but this TB12 fellow, I don't know.
Woo.
I don't know. I saw some Packers fans in here.
Super Bowl. Unbelievable.
Rachel, did you ever become a Packers fan? You can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You did. Oh, man. All right.
Oh, hey, I love Tom Brady. He's brilliant. I'm really happy Tampa Bay's going because my mother-in-law lived there for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. So we got some New Englanders that are on his team today.
Yep.
That's good.
I think as enough people came on time. So in respect to those of you who came on time, Naftali Karp here. And we have we're very happy that you all came on the talk. We're getting ready for Tu B'Shvat. Some of you have the amazing packages that were made by spearheaded by Rabbi Noach and his whole crew last night. Really, really nice. If you actually have a few extra, anyone who still wants to check in with us afterwards. But it's really a tremendous honor. Last year we had my uncle, Rabbi Chananel Weiner, my father's brother. We had him in person. Unfortunately, this year it doesn't work out. But thanks to God and his technology, we can have him even closer in our face than last year. And he's really, right now, he's actually, during COVID, he's has a new claim to fame to go with his many other claims to fame. And he has a YouTube channel, which I highly recommend subscribing to before they max out on the subscribers, called the Rabbi Cooks. You can look that up and subscribe to it. It's very informative and very inspirational. Rabbi Weiner, my uncle, is the director of Aish Campus Boston. Probably the greatest influencer in the college scene in Boston. On every single campus and all the other campuses. He's a passionate in creating leaders, passionate about Israel, passionate about helping people, passionate in fighting anti-Semitism, and passionate just about anything that's important, including cooking. So it's very apropos for Tu B'Shvat, which really it touches on a lot of the topics and themes of Rabbi Chananel's passions. So go Rabbi Chananel.
All right. Welcome everybody online all around the world and specifically in Providence, Rhode Island. Project Shoresh, you guys are awesome. And I love being one of your guest speakers, family or not. But certainly because it's a family affair, I appreciate it and enjoy it that much more. And if you stay tuned, you'll even hear a story from many, many years ago involving Noach and Naphtali. And and it's not embarrassing for them at all. It's just a story. It's fine. But it's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. And there's a lot to talk about tonight. And hopefully we'll get some of your input. And hopefully you'll listen to my input. And hopefully we'll all learn something together, which is really the point of us coming together tonight, is that we all have a chance and opportunity to really learn together. I typically, when I start a talk to college students, I'll tell them that they really shouldn't be there unless they're willing to have their lives changed. What does that mean? It means that anytime you hear an idea, you should be open to that idea changing your entire life. So I really plan to start with that idea, but I will start with that idea because really every idea we hear should be a life-changing event. And so who knows what's going to come out of tonight? You never know what just might happen from what we talk about this evening. The first thing I would like to really speak about is that it happens to be my Rosh Hashiva Rav Noach Weinberg's yahrzeit. And I happen to have sat in today on a Zoom call. Everything is Zoom. I like being in my office. So I actually don't mind it that much. But it was a Zoom call, people from the past and historical Aish Torah people talking about their relationship to Rav Noach and about the wonderful things that he taught them. I was very close with the Rosh Hashiva in my years at Aish Torah, which were from the end of 1999 until 2005 when I moved out to Boston. And it was certainly a massive influence in my life. And I love him and appreciate him very much. I think about him all the time and wish he was here. And I certainly miss him. And one of the great lessons, because we have to learn one of Rav Noach's lessons if we're going to be speaking about it tonight. And the truth is, everything you learn from me is coming from Rav Noach in some way. But one of the most incredible Rav Noach lessons is that responsibility makes you great. You should always try to take as much responsibility as you can possibly take. That will make you great. That will bring your greatness out of you. Many examples, you know, if you're the guy that has to open up the synagogue in the morning, you have to be on time. The guy with the key has to be on time. If you're a camp counselor, you know, you can't be the one using the bad words and getting into fights. That's for the kids. You know, it's like you have to set a good example. Whenever you take responsibility, it makes you great. And of course, the greatest responsibility of all is to take responsibility for the entire world, the Jewish people, ourselves, our families, all of those types of things. They all go together. And we say that taking the greatest responsibility pulls everything out of you. And I know it's a little bit contrary to other ideas out there about taking responsibility and how you should always be inward and only be looking at yourself and be the change you want to be in the world, which is a nice idea. But really, Rav Noach taught us that the way to be the change in the world is to take the responsibility for it all. It forces you to be incredible and amazing. and therefore you go and change the whole world around you. So I wanted to start with that idea because it's very important. It's what put me here today. That idea about taking responsibility and fighting for the Jewish people, and how that, and fighting really for Hashem and fighting against Chil Hashem, fighting against the desecration of God's name in the world, which is what's going on all around us all the time, just about. But fighting against that is truly what's helped me to become who I am today. And hopefully in the future as well, to be something that turns into somewhat of a great person one day. So that's the first thing I really wanted to say. But just like I said before, there's always a lesson to learn. There's always something to learn. And tonight, we're really going to dive deep into fruits, trees, and lessons that we can take from all of those things. Because it's Tu B'Shvat. And Tu B'Shvat, almost Tu B'Shvat at least, it's going to be Tu B'Shvat. And we're talking about a time that's a little bit obscure. It's a little bit of an obscure time. Talmud talks about it, but it's a little bit obscure. It's not really something, it's not a Rosh, it is a Rosh Hashanah, but it's not like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's not even like Hanukkah or Purim. You don't think about it as one of these primary Jewish times. It's a bit more obscure. So we're going to talk about and try and get some lessons that we can take for our lives and apply to our lives to help us to become great people, amazing people, and to learn the things that we're supposed to learn. So is everybody on board? Yeah, we're ready to go. We're ready to go deep into these ideas and see just where we go and just what happens tonight. Yes, I'm going to be asking for some audience participation. If you want to put something in the chat, I have certain points where I'll pause. I'll look at the chat. If there's something where you just have to like blurt it out, go ahead. We'll ignore you or we'll answer you. It doesn't matter. We'll get to it. And but at certain points, I'm also going to ask you if you want to share a couple words and prompted by my questions. No problem. That'll be fantastic too. Hopefully, we have to fill approximately 3 hours, so I'm going to need the rest of you to speak a little bit anyway. So let's just get started. Hopefully, it's not going to be 3 hours. Okay, here we go, everybody. I want to tell you about my very first time in Israel. This is the summer of 1999. Okay, we were partying like it's 1999. It was the summer of 99. Seems like a long time ago because it was. And I was in there as just out of college. I was fresh out of college. I had my whole life in front of me. I was really excited about being in Israel. It was kind of a graduation present kind of trip. I'd never been to Israel before. I didn't have many expectations about what it's going to be. I mean, I knew Hava Nagila. That was really kind of it. I didn't know very much about Judaism. I had wonderful role models in my brother and his wife who were on the call tonight and their kids, Reb Naftali, Reb Noach, and Shandi. Oh, yeah, all the great people. But really, I didn't know that much about Judaism. And I went to Israel thinking, oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. And one of the things that was going on in the trip, I went on an Aisha Torah Fellowships program. And one of the things they were talking about all the time on that trip was God. I was just like, come on, how much God can you talk about? It's like, I don't want to do all this talking about God. Right? I mean, it's a nice idea, it's a nice concept. I believe in God. I don't have a problem with that. But what I didn't know is that I had no sophisticated or refined understanding of what God was at all. I had nothing, but I believed in God. That was it. So what happened? We're doing all these classes, and every time someone's talking, they're mentioning God and this and that and proofs of God and all these types of things. And I was just like, oh man, I'm overloaded here. So one morning we got up super early. And what do you do in Israel when you get up super early? You go and you hike Masada. And everyone knows if you've been to Masada, it's this great fortress mountain where the battle took place in the Judean hills in the desert, basically down by the Dead Sea, kind of near just past En-Gedi. Beautiful area. And you walk, you get up early in the morning and you hike up, and it's a hard hike, but you don't do it in the middle of the day, because if you do, you get sun exhaustion and it could be very, very dangerous. So you do it early in the morning. So I did it and went up, and we were on Masada, and it was very inspiring. And on the way down, you look out and you just see everything. Roman encampments and lots of sand and mountains and everything. It's really, really beautiful and gorgeous. So I looked over to the rabbi of the trip and I said, Rabbi Schwartz, look, man, I don't need all these classes about God. I see it right here. Look how gorgeous this is. Look how beautiful it is. Need inspiration? It's right here in front of me. It's beautiful. It's obvious that there has to be a God. And so for me, when I saw that, I just knew I knew there was a God. Now, I have to tell you something. That didn't necessarily spur my growth in Judaism. But at that point in time, I didn't struggle with that issue of whether or not God is real or not. Now, you do have to struggle with that issue if you want to commit your life to Judaism. You have to kind of know it. You have to know it, that there really is a God, and God really did talk about Judaism and Torah and all that kind of stuff that we're not going to get into tonight. Those are really important questions. Really important questions. You really can't, unless you struggle with those issues, you really can't commit your life to Judaism and Torah without that. But at that point in time, as someone who just graduated college, went to Israel for the very first time, all I needed was to see the beauty of nature. Beauty of nature. And you know, the Rambam Maimonides supports this idea. The Rambam Maimonides supports the idea that you should look into nature, see the beauty, and appreciate God. Appreciate Hashem for everything. When you see nature, it should just bring out of you this emotional connection that, wow, God is awesome. God is great. God's amazing. Look at this incredible world. And, you know, I also now, with a more refined understanding and having learned a lot more, you know, you look at it and you say, there's no way this happened by accident. There had to be a designer, and all these types of bigger issues that you apply to it. But like I said, at the time, it was simple. This is beautiful. It has to be a God. There just has to be a God. And so, like I said, the Rambam talks about it. And I want to tell all the scientific skeptics out there is that science and Torah go together. They love each other. Science and Torah go together. It's a big thing. They work together symbiotically, cohesively, all the time. It's a really special thing. It's another thing to look deeper into, which we're not going to do right now. But certainly those two concepts are not contradictory at all. They work together, and you see it in the natural world. One more thing on this is that the word teva, which means nature, is actually the same numerical value as Elohim, which means Hashem. And so you see that nature and Hashem are one and the same. They go together. So we look to the natural world, and we've got to apply the lessons of the natural world to our lives. That's really what we want to do. So let's go back for a second and talk a little bit about my Rosh Yeshiva. Because my Rosh Yeshiva of Noach Weinberg, he used to do something that people thought was strange. I thought it was strange. Most people thought it was strange. Because if you ever went on a walk with my Rosh Yeshiva in the old city, there were certain points where he'd be walking. And now you see, I'm in the old city. I just happened to be at the Kotel. He was up by the Rova in the square there where the Chorva synagogue was rebuilt. And I was there before it was rebuilt. And that was great. All those restaurants are, and I was there before all the restaurants. But then he'd be walking along, right? And then he would stop. And he'd look at something, and you could see it was working. Something was working. Something was going on. What was going on? And then you'd be wondering, and then by the time you stop wondering about that time, he'd stop again and look at another thing, whether it be like a specific light pole or the Rova, the parking lot, whatever it might have been. Each and every place he'd go, he would stop. And I didn't ask him about it. Somebody else asked him about it and see what was going on. And they told and reported back to the rest of us. They said, what's he doing? He's actually going over the 6 constant mitzvahs. 6 constant mitzvahs. Every time he sees the light pole, he remembers Yichud Hashem, the oneness of God. And when he gets to the parking lot, it teaches him about fear of God, probably because of all the bad drivers in Israel. But it's like they have to teach about fear of God. And everywhere he would go, each one would remind him, as a mnemonic of sorts, of each one of those 6 constant mitzvahs. Now, I should come back another time and do the 6 constant mitzvahs, another concept that you should definitely learn about that we're not going to talk about tonight, but maybe another time. But the Rosh Yeshiva would go light pole, parking lot, Rova, whatever it was, the lions, they have those sculptured lions. Each one of those things had something to do with a concept in Judaism, with a concept in Torah, a concept that needed to be integrated and was all a part of his life. Wow. So this is the main lesson that we really want to get to, is how do you compartmentalize your learning by giving each item a title, a siman. This idea, I want everyone to remember this word siman. That's, if you have one takeaway from tonight, you take away the word siman. You give it a siman. What is a siman? A siman is a title, a key word, You can, if you want to talk, it's the icon on your computer that you double click and get the whole concept, a siman. And when we used to learn, we had to give simanim. So if you go through my Gemara, you can see on the top, most pages, not all, it should be all, but it's only most. You'll see I have a word or 2-word summary of what I think that page is all about. And if you go through the Rambam Maimonides, every single one of the 982 chapters has a heading. And every single one of the halachas, every one of them has a 1 or 2-word summary. This is the way to learn Torah. It compartmentalizes everything in your brain it makes your brain a giant filing cabinet. And then you do the same when you associate the things in nature. So one of the things that I want to start off with telling you about one of my associations, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, is association. So I want you guys to start thinking, okay? I want everyone to start thinking about associations that you have, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell the rest of us about them. But first, I'm going to tell you about one of my happiest associations. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me when I was in high school. And when you think about high school, you think about torment and bullying and all those types of things. And when I wasn't doing that to other people, no, kidding, no, that's funny. But when I say think about high school, I know a lot of people don't have so many happy memories about high school. But I can tell you one of my happiest memories about high school was when I was playing junior varsity basketball. And we had this incredible team. We actually had a great team. We thought we were going to be incredible at the next level. It didn't really happen that way. But at that point in time, we had this run and gun offense. We were all being used and utilized properly on the court. And we were competitive. We cut hard. We shot well. We did everything really, really good. It was a great season. It was probably my best season in high school basketball. And it was just a great experience. But one time after the winter break, we had our first game back, and we had Coach Melly Feldman. And Coach Mel Feldman is actually kind of famous. And he was actually just written about I believe it was in the New York Times recently, a story about Coach Melly Feldman when he coached the girls team at my high school, not our team, but it was a different story. You can look it up. So one of the things that Coach did is that he went to Florida. He went to Florida for the winter break. And after we came back, we had our next game. We practiced and we had our next game. It's like a silly little thing. He brought back oranges from Florida for us, for the whole team. He brought back oranges. And at halftime, I don't remember who we were playing, but at halftime, he put these oranges out for us. I'm telling you, it's one of the nicest things anybody ever did for me. He did it for everybody. So whenever I eat an orange, every single time I eat an orange, I remember the kindness of Coach Melly Feldman. I remember the level of thoughtfulness that he was on vacation in Florida. And he said, Florida's known for its oranges. I should bring these to the team. And to me, that was kind of mind-blowing, even though it's like a simple little thing, just a little thing. But for me, every time I eat an orange, I think about that. I think about that every single time. And so I'll tell you another quick basketball association I have, just because we're on the topic, is that Naftali and Noah came to see me play in college. I bet they remember. And I think they came twice. And one time, I think the first time they came, I think I won the game on the free throw line. Either won it or I iced the game. I don't remember if it was like the winning points or the points that made the other team out of reach. I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure that's the story. You can confirm it with them. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Really, it was great for them, And when I think about them, I think about the time that they did that. Totally, they were teenagers, stepped out of their comfort zone, came to my college, which was, very close by. And they came to see me play. I had to throw that in there. I have great associations with basketball, but that one in particular, but certainly going back to Coach Melly Feldman and the oranges, very, very special thing, very special thing. So now when you think about Tu B'Shvat, you got to think about all these other things, the trees, which we're going to get to, but really the fruits. So let's think about fruits for a second. And we have a lot of associations with fruits. Now get ready, folks. I'm going to be calling on you soon. We have associations. When it comes to the Rosh Hashanah Seder, you can apply a lot of those things to Tu B'Shvat as well. One of the things is apples. What do apples teach us? Sweetness. We should have a sweet new year. Dip the apple in the honey, right? We should have a sweet new year. Apples, when you see an apple, you should think about the sweetness of life. That we could have a sweet new year, that we could have sweetness throughout everything that we do and bring it into everything we do. What about dates? Dates, kind of the opposite. Dates, yitamu seinecha, yitamu ya'ivecha, sorry, that you should consume our enemies, that Hashem, you're in control, and no matter what's going on, if there's people trying to take us down, you're there with us, you're there fighting the fight for us. Something to remember when it comes to dates. Figs teach us a bit about modesty. If you remember that, Adam and Eve in the garden wore fig leaves when they finally figured out what was going on. Pomegranates, that there's so many incredible mitzvahs and ways to connect to God. That's what mitzvahs are, is means to connect to God, means to bring the best out of ourselves, means to express ourselves in a Jewish way. That's what pomegranates teach us. And I'll just give you one more, and I'm going to open it up to all of you, is that bananas make me laugh. I like, the physical comedy, like the guy who's walking and slips on a banana peel, as long as he doesn't get really hurt, it's really funny. I love that, like America's Home Video stuff where the people are falling all over themselves, or like the person jumps on a trampoline and the trampoline folds into them. I love that stuff. Bananas make me laugh. Okay, that's just another thing. Okay, so we're gonna I've been talking now for forever. So let's go. I want to hear some of you guys. Rav Noach will unmute you and give you the floor. Who's willing to raise their hand and jump in here and say one of their associations that they have with a fruit or even anything else? Maybe it could be like a car that brings you incredible joy. Something. Tell us. Talk to us, people. Come on.
Everybody has the ability to unmute yourself if you'd like to say something. If we unmute everybody, then I'm sure we'll hear lots of noise. So if you want to jump in and share.
Yeah, I'm jumping in because of oranges. I'm Malka Cohen, visiting Providence for 2 months, and I'm happy to have that opportunity. I have an association with oranges.
All right.
I was in high school. I used to go to a music camp in the summer, and at the end of an intensive week of learning in the state of Vermont, we went and climbed a mountain, a different mountain every week. And at the top of the mountain, we had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and oranges. And the view of the blue and the green mountains and the lakes below, I open an orange. I'm there looking at Hashem's beautiful world. Decades before I ever came to Yiddishkeit, it's all one thing for me.
Excellent. Terrific. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent.
Sure.
Excellent. Who's next?
I'm happy to talk about these olives.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, so when I was in Israel in 1991, I was living on kibbutz for 3 weeks at kibbutz Beit HaShita. And if anybody's been to any American grocery store looking for Israeli olives, that's the brand, Beit HaShita olives. They had me working in the Zeytiya, in the olive factory, for 3 weeks. And my job was to make sure that one machine poked out the pit and the next machine stuck in the pimento. And it was backbreaking labor, I tell you, only for an American high school girl. And so whenever I eat olives, I think of my 3 weeks on kibbutz in the Zeytiya, in the olive factory.
Excellent. Very nice. Great association.
I'll go unless someone else wants to go.
No way. I know that voice. You got the floor.
Well, there's a few fruits I could talk about, but I'll talk about pears. My parents, all of a sudden, had a pear tree in their backyard, and I have very fond memories of bringing my kids over there to collect the pears before the squirrels got to them. And also, they had a raspberry bush. I don't know if my children were zocha to pick raspberries from Bubby's raspberry bush, but when my older nieces and nephews were little, they used to come to Bubby and Zadie Schmel's in Baltimore's house, and they would go and pick raspberries from my mother's raspberry bush. And in those days, you didn't have to worry about checking for bugs, so they would eat them straight off. We'd wash them out in the hose and eat them straight. And my father would collect them and make his own brew of raspberry schnapps, home brewed. He had as a matter of fact, I have his little decanter that he made it in, and he would he would pour all kinds of interesting things in there to add to the flavor. And besides the alcohol and the raspberries, had a little peach juice from a peach can. He dumped that in there too. So I have a lot of great memories. And my mother, Allah Shalom, loved Buxer. And that holiday is coming up this week. and her yard site is too. So I have a lot of memories about my parents wrapped around fruit and food in general. Anyway, thank you.
Very good. Very good, of course. Okay, who's next? Who's stepping in to give another example and association that they have?
Okay, I'll go.
Oh,
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Jeff, how are you?
Thank God. Thank
Yeah,
God.
I just want to point out, one second, let me just interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast just to point out that Jeff was the first guest of the Rabbi Cooks, 3rd episode, way back in the summer. We did a whole fishing. We did fish and chips on the ocean side. It was awesome. And very much the first guest of the Rabbi Cooks. I appreciate that very much.
We appreciate it too. It was fantastic. So today I had the pleasure of being on a Zoom with, believe it or not, check it out, 600. It's funny, Chananel, that you brought it up today, with 600 past chevra from Livnot to Libanot, a program in Tzvi that introduces young adults to Judaism, was utterly fantastic. And I heard a tremendous thing today that reminded me of a story. So I lived in an apartment in Tzvi, facing over the valley, facing Meron. My apartment today is now the tasting room for the Abu Hav winery. So we took a tiul. This is 1990. Rachel predates you by a year. 1990, and we came out of Nachal Amud into a tremendous date grove. Thousands, all you could see, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of date palms. And a couple of the guys who I was hiking with picked up these date fronds off the bottom of the grove. They'd fallen off the tree, and we picked them up, and somebody came up to us and says, really, you need permission from the owner of this date grove to take this. It's not garbage. It's really his property. So we went and sought out the owner of this date grove. He said, sure, I know a lot about food now, but I didn't know a whole lot about food then. And so they were these bright orange dates. Anyone who's seen dates on the tree, bright orange dates, they're not really ripe yet. So what do you have to do to ripen them? You have to leave them out in the sun. It's a dehydrated, the dehydrated fruit, kind of like curing an olive, Rachel. The olive off the tree is no good. The ripe date is no good. It really has to dry out. So I remember putting them out on our mirpeset, on our porch, our terrace. And it took 3 days for these bright, beautifully looking things to shrivel up and turn brown and become the sweet fruit that they are. So on this Zoom today, somebody brought up the date palm. They wanted to discuss the date palm. And they said the date palm is a tall, majestic tree. It's not really bothered by the wind. Nothing can knock it over. It yields this beautiful fruit, but the fruit is really nothing until it shrivels up, turns ugly, and then is really worth something sweet. So I always think of these dates, no matter when I eat a date, no matter what happens. I remember walking out onto my mirpeset magically one morning, and there were these dried up brown things that were like a giant burst of sugar. And today I was reminded that it's got deep roots. It seeks out a lot of water in the desert. It turns a beautiful fruit that is worthless until the fruit becomes ugly and shriveled. And so the date palm reminds us of the humility of stature. That's my contribution today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, Noach Karp. Where's Noach? Noach's going to close out this section here. Where's Noach? Noach Karp, jump in there. You tell us what you associate with.
I wanted to say something too.
Oh, who said that?
I've been waving my hand politely, too
Oh,
polite.
go for it. Go for it. We'll never let you down.
Okay, so I have 3 quick things. One is not so positive, but it has a lesson, which is that one Tu B'Shvat, I actually broke my tooth on a carob. I bit into a seed and broke off a tooth. So Hashem gives us all this wonderful sweetness, but we have to treat it with respect or it might bite us back. I now am more careful with carob. I thought I was being careful, but apparently I'm into holistic things, so I was eating the actual pod, and I didn't smash it up good enough. So that was the first memory I have. The second one is from when I was young, which my childhood wasn't so wonderful, but I had this aunt who always made, the few times the families came to visit, if it was the right time of the year, she made a cake with prune plums. I don't know if people know what that is. It's these plums that are available about 1 or 2 weeks a year. They're oval shaped and they're yellow on the inside, and they're not round. They're like oval things. And they're extra sweet, and they're the actual plums that prunes are usually made out of. And she made this cake where the whole bottom of the pan was like a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch thick layer of prune plums. It must have been a lot of work. And then she put the cake in on top and cooked it together and then flipped it over. And it was just wonderful. It was this really nice pound cake kind of cake with this rich blessing of fresh. Somehow the fruit didn't turn into applesauce. It really still tasted like fruit. It was very nice.
Very nice. All right. I think you're going to have to share that recipe with everybody afterwards.
Okay, and then one other quick one is I love cranberries. And there's a Shiloh to some people, whether it's a tree or the tree blessing or the Adama, because they grow really low, but a cranberry bog is a living thing. And if your bog dies, you actually can collect insurance. It is not something that dies back every year. And, but I love to sit and eat cranberries. And I have this memory of sitting in my car one day in the fall when the next crop of fresh cranberries came. And I had a bag of cranberries, fresh whole cranberries open. And I was sitting there popping them into my mouth because I like sour things. And the person in the next car was staring at me. So I offered them the bag out the window. Did they want some? And they went, ah! And it turned out they were just wondering how anyone could eat something so sour. But sour is part of the world too. And
very good, very good. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thanks everybody for sharing. That was really great. We learned a lot more than we thought we'd learn. Okay, let's move along and let's go. Okay, everyone can, Noah can mute everybody back. We'll give you guys a chance to come back to life again soon. But that was very good. I was very happy we did that. That worked out very nicely. So let's move on. We're going to talk now. Remember, we talked about simanim. So now let's go really deep when it comes to trees. Because what is Tu B'Shvat? The Mishnah tells us, the Talmudic source tells us, Chazal tell us that what is Tu B'Shvat is the Rosh Hashanah for the trees. Rosh Hashanah le'ilanos. Okay, it's the Rosh Hashanah for the trees. So the first thing, I actually came up with 15 different things. 15 different things, and then you guys will fill in whatever I missed out on. I'll stop a couple times along the way in case anybody has questions. We're going to go through these 15 different things that I thought about trees and lessons and associations that we can make when it comes to trees. So the first thing we want to know about Tu B'Shvat, and tie that right back to Tu B'Shvat. So we want to take the lessons that we're going to learn from the trees, tie it back to Tu B'Shvat, have a spiritual, incredibly uplifting experience, and live a wonderful life. Here we go. The first one is that Tu B'Shvat is the Rosh Hashanah for the trees. It's the Rosh Hashanah le'ilanos. So what's a Rosh Hashanah? What is a Rosh Hashanah? It's a celebration. It's a time of greatness and joy. We should be happy. And the harvest comes in and the fruits come out. And we all know we have these great ideas about what fruits are all about. And so the first thing we want to know is that it's a Rosh Hashanah. It's just like Rosh Hashanah, except for it's Rosh Hashanah for the trees. That's the first thing. And the second one is, what do we do on every Rosh Hashanah? Is we've reached a new plateau. Rabbi Moskowitz, Rav David Moskowitz, likes to say, in the name of his father-in-law, who's the Rabbi Margolis, who's the Rabbi Achai Adam, the original rabbi here in Boston, Massachusetts, from the Dorchester days into the Brighton days, he would say every Rosh Hashanah, we've reached the station. Because that's what this is. It's a station. We're at a new place. We're at a new level. It's a new plateau of life. We should look back at what we did in the previous year, and hopefully we're greater versions of ourselves, living higher lives, doing more with what we have, connecting in greater ways to Hashem. That's what we should be doing. That's what it's all about. Another thing about a Rosh Hashanah is that it gives us a second chance. Maybe we blew it. Maybe we blew it in the previous year. Maybe it didn't go well at all. Maybe it was all our fault. It could very well be. But now it's a Rosh Hashanah. It's a Rosh Hashanah. We have a chance to turn things over, to fix it all. And if you were a nasty, mean, miserable person yesterday, you could be kind and thoughtful, loving and caring tomorrow. It's that simple. It takes a lot of work, right? But that's what it is you have that opportunity, a second chance, a third chance. That's what a Rosh Hashanah is. My Rosh Hashiva always used to say, and I love that I keep going back to Rav Noach, especially on his yard side. He's upstairs saying, you did good, Chananel, you listened a little bit. But what did he used to say? He would say that every holiday is an opportunity. And what's the opportunity? These things, everything we're talking about is the opportunity of Tu B'Shvat. So rejuvenation is the next one. And if you're keeping track, this is number 4. So rejuvenation is the next one. And that trees, what do? They can rejuvenate their limbs. You cut it off, it comes back. Fruits grow seasonally. They come one season, they come the next season. They keep coming back. They keep coming back. And for me, when I think about that concept, I think about the roller coaster of life. How life is ups and downs and ebbs and tides and wax and wane and all those types of things. Is that those are the chances of life. You don't know what's going to happen next. You go with it, you respond to it in the best that you possibly can, and you make the most out of your existence. Good times, hard times. Gam ze yavor, these things will pass. Gam ze l'tova, they're all for the good. That's what we talk about when we talk about rejuvenation. The next one, number 5, patience. Patience. You know, you can't work a fruit tree for the first 3 years. You have to wait. Judaism teaches you have to wait. You have to wait till it grows strong. And even those first 3 years of fruits, you can't use them. You can't eat them. You got to wait. What about strength? Number 6. The 6th one, strength. We have to be strong like a tree. The Chazal, the rabbis tell us to be strong like a tree. What happens to a strong tree with a good strong trunk? All the winds can come and not blow it down. That's what we have to be like when it comes to ideas. Now, we live in a world of very confusing ideas. We live in a world where trust is hard to build. We live in a world where this guy's telling you this and he's absolutely certain he's right. And we live in this world where this guy's telling you this and these guys going against each other and they all think they're right. You got to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet. You got to be, in a sense, like the tree with a strong trunk, rooted deep and strong. That's what that's all about. You have to be strong like a tree. We've got to be able to withstand the heaviest winds of the world. Do you think that the Jewish people got through all time by being weak and bending at the first sign of adversity? No way. We just stood in the face of every challenge and said, there's no way you're taking our Judaism away from us because we're strong and rooted in the Judaism. That's what it is. Now, Chazal also tell us that this world is the opposite of a tree. Now, trees, we know, put it in the ground, the roots spread out, the trunk grows, the leaves, everything. Chazal tell us that this world is the opposite of that. Is that the Jewish people, our roots are supposed to be in Shemayim, in heaven. And what does that mean? That means that we're supposed to be heavenly creatures, bringing godliness and spirituality into this world. But our roots are up above. And if our roots are up above, we understand the source of all of our nourishment. Everything is coming from above. Everything is from God. Everything at all. And that's really what we're supposed to be walking around this world. And our strength of our existence comes from up above. Okay. I want to stop for a second. That's 7. We're about halfway through the list. Do we have any questions? Any comments? It's a little hard. We're Zooming. I can't see you falling asleep. I can't see who's like looking at me crazy. Do any questions or anything like that? You can put them in the chat. I can respond to the chat. Anything at all? Or am I making absolute perfect 100% clear sense to everybody?
No, I'm very proud of you, Chananel.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we can stop. All right, let's keep going. I don't see any questions. No questions, no comments, no additions, no tomatoes. Okay. Sounds good. Let's keep the train rolling, okay? Here we go. Number 8. We're up to number 8. Is that what process does the tree help us with? It's really the source of all of our sustenance. The rain, the dew. When I grew up, one thing we knew about was rain dances. You hear about a rain dance? That seemed like the most absurd thing in the world. If there's nature running everything, it's going to rain when it rains, and it's not going to rain when it doesn't going to rain. But when you do a rain dance, you know why you do a rain dance? Is because you understand that Hashem holds the water. Hashem holds the water. And the tree takes part in that process of bringing the rains and the dew to the world. And Hashem holds the water. The spirituality of water is something that's really intense and amazing. Is when you think about it, it's our entire sustenance comes from water. The sign of judgment, when there's a drought, we have to fast. The sign of judgment and Hashem's relationship with man comes through water. And it's really tremendous and amazing if you really think about it. Next, and this is something special for us New Englanders. New Englanders understand the beauty of the trees when they change the fall foliage and the Hashem's palette of colors. It's unmatched. It's incredible. We understand it. We appreciate it because we get to see it every year. Even this year during the COVID, we were able to take a drive and go see the beautiful foliage as things were changing. You got to be inspired by it. Take a moment to appreciate it. Colors, the colors of the universe. And they're all there right in the trees all around us during the fall season. What else do trees do? We're up to number 10. Trees provide shade. You need shade out there in a hot day. I remember if you're in Israel, you walk in the shade versus you walk in the sun. It's the difference between heat exhaustion and living. But what does a tree? A tree provides shade. Shade is really a representation of Hashem. Hashem provides shade with us. It gives us shelter, everything that we need. Building materials come from trees. If you want to build in your life, you've got to have some wood. Paper. Can you imagine the world without paper? Paper, just simple things you associate the majesty of paper. Could we not write all the books, the Sfarim, the great Jewish literature, without something as simple as paper? And what about the process of oxygenation? How trees take part in the process of bringing oxygen to us. It's another thing we can't live without. Fire. Use wood for kindling fire. And fire, we know, is all about Judaism. Judaism is all about fire. What are we? We're all the soul, the beauty, the fire, the flame that we bring to the world. The flame that we are. We can light another person up with ideas. Doesn't diminish from us whatsoever. So guys, that's 14 different things that we learn from the trees. Little things. But each little thing is a simon. Each little thing is a simon. Did we miss anything? Anybody want to throw in something we missed when it comes to the trees? You have 15 seconds if you want to add something. Does anybody want to say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead,
All right.
one at a time.
We've got oxygen. The trees provide us with oxygen. They take carbon monoxide and change it to oxygen.
Excellent. That was number 13. Terrific.
Okay, trees have to be planted, at least in New England, in the fall, because they need a chance to spread their roots before they have to support the leaves and the growth and so on. So it's interesting that they have to be planted near our new year, but also it really tells us something that there's an appropriate time for doing things, and you have to give something a chance to grow strength, to stand up and be strong like that.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Great addition. Okay. Anybody else? Last chance? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I just want to close. The time is running late. What's the lesson of Tu B'Shvat? There's many lessons you can learn tonight. But one of them with me is that you can see Hashem in nature all around us all the time. And you let him in, you live with it, and you make those associations. And you make those associations with those things in your life, nature, fruit, trees, whatever it might be. It's just enriching for your life. Your life will be so great. You'll see God everywhere. You'll bring God with you everywhere. And more so, it'll take its root in interactions you have with the rest of the world. And that's just going to lift the whole world up. And so Tu B'Shvat, what's it really all about? Make those simanim. Make those simanim. Change the whole world. That's what Tu B'Shvat's all about. I hope everybody enjoyed. Very quick, I want to plug the Rabbi Cooks. Instagram is where it's really happening. Facebook and YouTube are kind of slow. Instagram is where it's really happening. I did a steak rescue today. Steak rescue has over 13,500 views. I don't know how that happened because normally I don't get anywhere near that. But I did a steak rescue where I rescued a steak today and put it up there. Very short video, but it's got a lot of comments and views. And one person commented that I dried it out, even though when you see it, and as I'm slicing it, the juices are flowing out of this thing like you can't believe. I told them to adjust the brightness on their phones. But anyways, you guys go on Instagram, the Rabbi Cooks. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, and do all that stuff. I talk about, really, the Rabbi Cooks is a Judaism show with cooking. It's not the other way around. It's really about Judaism and spreading Judaism. Jewish people love food. Jewish people love to eat. And during COVID, we couldn't feed people, so I had to find another way to combine those things. And I did it through the Rabbi Cooks. It's really, I'd love to have all of you follow and be a part of what's going on there as I try to build that. We have almost 30 episodes, and all of them with a different lesson in Judaism and a different recipe. Try out the recipes, integrate the Judaism life lessons, and enjoy. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Naftali and Noach and Harry and Chaiki, of course, and everybody else for being here. It was great to be with you tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Weiner. Thank you. Round of applause. Thanks everyone for coming on. Next Sunday night, I don't know if we can match Rabbi Weiner, but we have a Shalom Bias class by a famous Aish Rabbi, Rabbi Milstein. And he's going to help us get along in our houses better with our friends, with our family. So highly recommended. Next week, 8 o'clock. If you don't have the link, you can RSVP. But thank you, Rabbi Weiner, again. And everyone knows where to find him. We can leave it on, but the program is officially over. People want to talk. It's COVID, so it's nice to see people's faces. Highly recommend it. Shkoach, Rabbi Chananel.
Thank you very much.